I wasn't waiting for him. That's the lie I told myself as I stared at my phone for the third time in under a minute. 7 days. That's how long Julian Cross had been gone. No goodbye. No fight. Just silence so clean it felt intentional. The kind that messes with your head because it doesn't give you anything to be angry at. You can't scream at silence, you can only sit with it. The city outside my penthouse was glowing soft lights, slow traffic, people still pretending it wasn't past midnight. I kicked off my shoes and loosened my tie, the one thing that still felt too tight even after the board meeting applause. The signed deals, the respect. CEO by day, insomniac by night. I told myself I didn't miss him. I missed the way he existed in my space without asking permission. My phone buzzed. Not him. I locked the screen and tossed it onto the couch like it had personally offended me. Bad idea. I poured a drink I didn't need and opened an app I hadn't used before. Not food. Not errands. Private services. Discreet. Fast. No follow-up questions. Distraction. Noah. That's all this is. I tapped, confirmed, and set my phone down. 5 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Too fast. I frowned, glass still in my hand, and walked toward the door. The hallway camera lit up, and there he was, Julian, standing outside my door like he'd never left. My chest tightened so hard, I forgot how breathing worked. I didn't open the door immediately, neither did he move. We stared at each other through a screen like idiots. Finally, I unlocked it. What are you doing here? I asked. He looked the same, infuriatingly so. Dark jacket, hands in his pockets, iced a calm for someone who ghosted a whole human being. You shouldn't have ordered that, he said. I laughed, a sharp sound. Ugly. Honest. You disappeared. I reply. You don't get opinions. Silence stretched, heavy, familiar. I didn't stop wanting you, Julian said quietly. I stopped being allowed to. That hit harder than I expected. I stepped aside without thinking. He walked in like he belonged there. The door closed behind him, and just like that, everything I'd carefully buried all week clawed its way back to the surface. I didn't ask him to sit. He did anyway. On the edge of my kitchen counter. Like this was normal. Like he hadn't vanished and left me pacing boardrooms with a smile stapled to my face. You look tired, Julian said. I scoffed. You look bold. He smiled faintly, not cocky, worse, soft. You blocked me, he said. You vanished. I shot back. I upgraded. His jaw tightened, just for a second. I caught it. I always did. I didn't come to fight, he said. Then why are you here? He looked around my apartment like he was grounding himself. The city lights, reflected in the glass walls, slicing the room into shadows. Because you're the only place that still feels real, he said. I hated how easily that landed. I walked to the kitchen, set my glass down untouched. You don't get to say things like that after a week of silence. I know. You don't get to disappear and reappear like. I stopped pacing. He stood then, slowly, like he wasn't sure if I'd tell him to leave. I didn't ghost you because I stopped caring, Julian said. I ghosted you because if I stayed, I would have ruined you. That made me laugh again, this time bitter. I'm not fragile. I know, he said. That's why it scared me. I turned to face him fully. Then explain. Right now? No riddles. He exhaled, long, like he'd been holding that breath for days. My family has a legacy trust, he said. Old money, old rules. The kind that decides your future before you learn how to spell it. I folded my arms, and my name triggered a clause, he said. One I thought I buried. Something cold slid down my spine. What kind of clause? I asked. The kind that reminds you who owns what, he replied, including me. I hated how calm he sounded, like he'd already lost. So you ran, I said. I paused. He corrected. I needed time to figure out how to break it. And you didn't think to tell me. He stepped closer, not invading, just present. I thought if I spoke to you, he said, I wouldn't leave. And if I didn't leave, they'd come for you too. That shut me up. The city hummed outside. Cars, lights, people moving forward. I'm not some liability, I said finally. I know, he said again. You're the only thing I wanted to protect. Silence sat between us. Dense, loud. I leaned back against the counter. So what now? Julian hesitated. That scared me more than anything he'd said so far. Now, he said, I'm supposed to attend a formal dinner tomorrow night. With, I asked, even though my chest already knew. A name on paper, he said. A future that makes sense to everyone but me. I swallowed. And me? I asked, his eyes lifted to mine. No dodging this time. You're the reason it doesn't make sense anymore. Something cracked, not loudly. Just enough. I stepped into his space before I could stop myself. You don't get to make me the reason and then disappear again. I don't want to, he said. Wanting isn't enough. I know. We stood there, too close, not touching, the kind of distance that buzzes. Julian reached out, stopped himself halfway. Tell me to leave, he said, and I will. I didn't. Instead, I said, you don't get my bed. You don't get comfort. You get the couch and the truth in the morning. His lips twitched. Fair. He moved toward the couch, then paused. Noah, Yad. I never stopped choosing you, he said. I just didn't know how to fight yet. I watched him lie down, jacket still on, staring at my ceiling like sleep was optional. I turned off the lights and walked to my room. I didn't sleep. Neither of us did. And somewhere between the city's glow and the quiet breathing on my couch, I knew this wasn't over. It was just getting loud. Morning didn't come gently. It arrived like an obligation. The city outside my bedroom windows was already awake, all glass and motion and purpose, and for a few seconds I lay there staring at the ceiling, trying to remember what version of myself I was supposed to be today. The man who runs an investment firm before most people finish their first coffee, or the man who let someone sleep on his couch because saying goodbye felt harder than risking everything again. I sat up slowly, already tired. The apartment was quiet in that fragile way that only exists after a sleepless night, the kind where you know someone else is breathing somewhere nearby, even if you can't hear them anymore. I pulled on a shirt, ran a hand through my hair, and stepped out into the living room. The couch was empty. For a second, panic flared hot and stupid in my chest. But then I saw a folded note on the counter, placed neatly beside my untouched glass from last night. I didn't open it immediately. I made coffee instead, because control comes in small rituals when everything else feels unstable. The machine hummed, steam rising, the smell grounding me just enough to keep my hand steady. Only then did I pick up the note. Had to leave before you woke up. This wasn't running. I'll explain today. Jade. I stared at it longer than necessary, then folded it once and slipped it into my pocket like it belonged there. Of course he left. Julian Cross never stayed long enough for things to feel safe. By the time I arrived at the office, I had already rebuilt the version of myself the world expected. Calm voice. Straight posture. No visible cracks. The lobby staff greeted me with respect that had nothing to do with affection and everything to do with reputation, and I returned their nods like a man who had slept peacefully and not like someone whose heart was currently replaying unfinished conversations on loop. Meetings blurred together. Numbers made sense. People were predictable. Contracts didn't disappear without warning. Halfway through a presentation, my phone vibrated against the table. Unknown number. I didn't look at it until the meeting ended, until the room emptied and the applause faded, and I was alone again with my thoughts. Julian, you left before I could say everything. I exhaled slowly, thumb hovering. Me? You keep doing that. The reply came instantly. Julian, I know. I'm trying to unlearn it. I should have blocked him. I didn't. Instead, I stood by the window of my office, city stretching endlessly below, and let myself read the next message when it came. Julian, they've moved the dinner up. Tonight. My jaw tightened. Me? And? A pause this time, longer. He was choosing his words, which meant this mattered. Julian, it's not just a dinner, it's a confirmation. That word sat heavy in my chest, ugly and final. Me? Do you want to go? 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Julian, no. I closed my eyes. Me? Then don't. If only it were that simple. The rest of the day dragged, every task feeling louder than necessary. Every conversation slightly out of sync, like my mind was half a second behind my body. Around mid-afternoon, my mother called. I answered because ignoring her would only make things worse. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. You're still refusing, she said. Voice clipped, careful, the way it always got when money and legacy entered the conversation. I'm not discussing it, I replied calmly, because calm was easier than honest. If you don't show up, she continued, the board will assume you stepped away from the family arrangement. I already have. And the assets attached to it will revert, she said. Including the ones you worked so hard to separate. There it was. The leverage. I ended the call before my voice betrayed me. By the time evening rolled in, my office was quiet, lights dimmed, assistants gone. the city outside glowing like it was keeping secrets. I stayed later than usual, pretending productivity could drown out anxiety, until my phone buzzed again. Julian, I'm outside. My heart stuttered. Me? Where is outside? Julian, your building. I didn't want to assume. I grabbed my coat and didn't think twice. The drive was silent at first, the kind that holds too much, until Julian finally spoke, eyes fixed on the road, hands steady on the wheel. I wasn't talking about you, he said suddenly. I turned to him. What? When I disappear, he continued, voice low, controlled. The thing you overheard me say on the phone that night, I was talking about a stranger. Someone they were trying to tie me to, not you. That truth settled slowly, heavy but clarifying. I thought you knew. I admitted. I thought you'd chosen them over me. He shook his head. I thought you'd leave if you knew the full picture. We sat with that for a while. The city lights flickered across his face as he drove, and for the first time since this started, he looked tired in a way that wasn't just physical. There's something you should know about me, I said quietly, surprising even myself. He glanced at me. I'm listening. I told him then, about the past, about the fear, about the way honesty had once cost me someone I loved, and how that loss taught me to armor myself with success and distance and silence. Julian didn't interrupt. When I finished, his hand found mine, warm and steady, thumb brushing my knuckles like it was the most natural thing in the world. Anyone who couldn't stay after knowing you never deserved you, he said simply. I believed him. We pulled over somewhere quiet, the city humming softly around us, and for a moment, everything felt still. I'm not promising easy, he said. I don't need easy, I reply. I need real. He smiled then, small but genuine. The dinner loomed, the pressure hadn't disappeared. But for the first time, it didn't feel like something I had to face alone. The building was all glass and light, the kind of place designed to intimidate without raising its voice. And as Julian pulled up to the entrance, I could already feel the familiar pressure settle into my shoulders, the quiet expectation that I would perform, smile, and become the version of myself people were comfortable consuming. Julian killed the engine, but didn't move immediately. This is where things get complicated, he said, not looking at me. They already are, I reply, my voice steady in a way that surprised me. He nodded, then reached into the back seat and handed me a slim black jacket I didn't remember leaving there, something clean and understated, something that felt intentional. I took it, slipping it on, and for a moment we just looked at each other, the unspoken question hanging between us. Stay close, he said quietly, even when I can't. The lobby doors opened like a stage cue. Inside, everything echoed heels against marble, laughter too polished to be real, voices softened by money and restraint. People turned as we entered, recognition flickering across faces, some curious, some calculating, all of them filing us away into categories that suited them. Julian's hand brushed the small of my back, subtle enough to be accidental, deliberate enough to anchor me. The dining room was already full, a long table dressed in crystal and white linen, conversations flowing like a rehearsed performance. At the head sat the people who matter, the ones whose names carried weight long before they spoke. And then I saw him, not Julian. The man seated to places from the center, posture rigid, expression cool, eye sharp in a way that suggested control rather than curiosity. He wore his power like a uniform, clean and unyielding, and when his gaze lifted and landed on Julian, something unreadable passed between them. That's him, Julian murmured. The future they chose. I didn't ask his name. I didn't need it. We took our seats, the space between us carefully measured, public enough to be respectable, private enough to feel cruel. Conversation flowed around us, touching on markets, mergers, expansion plans, the kind of topics that bored people who didn't understand how much damage decisions like these could do. Halfway through the first course, the man across the table finally spoke. You're later than expected, he said, voice smooth, eyes never leaving Julian. Unexpected things happen, Julian replied evenly. The man's gaze shifted to me. And this is. Julian didn't hesitate. Someone important, not a title, not a role, just that. The silence that followed was brief but telling. I met the man's stare without flinching, letting him see exactly what he was dealing with. Not arrogance, not defiance, just certainty. Whatever deal they thought they were closing tonight, I wasn't an accessory to it. As the dinner continued, the tension tightened, every polite exchange layered with implication, every smile sharp at the edges. I felt Julian withdraw slightly, The way people do when they're forced into rooms that demand parts of them they no longer want to give. When the main course was clear, a toast was proposed. To legacy, to continuity, to the future. Julian stood. The room quieted. I appreciate the confidence placed in me, he began, his voice calm, measured, the kind that commanded attention without asking for it. But I won't be confirming anything tonight. A ripple moved through the table. This arrangement was built on assumptions, he continued, and I'm no longer willing to live inside them. Eyes darted. Whispers sparked. The man across from him leaned back slowly. This isn't just about you. Julian glanced at me then, just for a second, and something settled in his expression. I know, he said. That's why I'm choosing better. We left before anyone could stop us. Tonight air felt colder, sharper, like it was daring us to regret it. Julian didn't speak until we were back in the car, until the city lights blurred into motion again. I don't know what this costs me yet, he said finally. I reached for his hand, threading my fingers through his without hesitation. Whatever it is, I said, we'll calculate it together. He exhaled, something between a laugh and a release, and squeezed my hand back. For the first time since he disappeared, the road ahead didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a choice.